The famous line, "Dave, you're out of the band. When's my plane leave?"
Welcome to Watch Mojo. And today, we're counting down our picks for musicians who, for one reason or another, left a famous band before they could make an impression.
Maybe it's my karma. It wasn't meant to be.
Number 10, Danny Kirwan, Fleetwood Mac. Fleetwood Mac were a radically different band before they truly hit their stride in the mid to late 70s. For one thing, the groundbreaking duo of Lindsey Buckingham and Stevie Nicks didn't join until late 1974. In its original form, the Peter Green-led group was a lot bluesier than they would later become. Their rhythm guitarist during the height of their late 60s and early 70s work was Danny Kirwan.
Shall I tell you about my life?
He was hired due to his very evocative and emotional way of performing on the instruments, but interpersonal issues, mental health problems, and alcohol use disorder led to him getting the boot in 1972. Kirwan missed out on the band's golden period by a matter of years after suffering what was later described as a breakdown. Number 9, LaToya Luckett and Latavia Robertson, Destiny's Child. With a leading lady like Beyoncé, Destiny's Child were always bound to become something successful.
Destiny's Child may not be a household name just yet, but displays like this one are popping up around the country and are just one more indication that the group's star power is on the rise.
But what many people don't know is that the most famous lineup of Beyoncé, Kelly Rowland, and Michelle Williams was not their first incarnation. In fact, Beyoncé was the only one who originally had a place in the group. She joined LaToya Luckett and Latavia Robertson in the first trio.
A lot of people think that we just came from nowhere. They're like, y'all, new group, y'all came from nowhere. But the truth of the matter is, it did take us 4 years to get a record deal. We've been together for 6.5 years now.
But just as they were on the cusp of fame, Luckett and Robertson were unceremoniously axed. In fact, they literally found out that they had been replaced when they saw the video for the song Say My Name on television. How's that for a cold way of doing business? Number 8, Glenn Matlock, the Sex Pistols. Glenn Matlock was probably the most technically proficient musician in the Sex Pistols. But he was missing one key ingredient that truly mattered in the band's quest. He simply wasn't punk enough. While Johnny Rotten, Steve Jones, and Paul Cook embraced the image and style of the times, Matlock was seen as the odd one out.
What about the accusation that you're more into chaos than anything else?
Well, that's an accusation by people who really don't understand what kids want.
So when manager Malcolm McLaren decided to draft in the iconic Sid Vicious to replace him on bass, it was a move made with one clear agenda in mind. The problem? Well, Vicious could barely play the bass. This led to guitarist Jones playing most of the parts on their debut album.
It was too much too soon at a really young age.
Matlock rejoined the band for several reunion tours after Vicious's untimely death at the age of 21. Number 7, Josh Klinghoffer, Red Hot Chili Peppers. Josh Klinghoffer was already a friend and a collaborator to John Frusciante when he was hired to replace him in the Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Really what happened is, Josh rose to the top of that meditative search.
In many ways, he was the perfect replacement. And though his work on the albums I'm With You and The Getaway didn't quite reach the band's earlier peaks, he was still warmly received by the fans. Klinghoffer spent 10 years recording and touring with the Chili Peppers as a full band member. But when the legendary Frusciante decided to rejoin the band in 2019, Klinghoffer was immediately dismissed. He insists that there were no hard feelings, but he still took the abrupt nature of his exit as a shock to the system.
I was surprised that when I heard but then in the big picture.
Number 6, Jason Everman, Nirvana and Soundgarden. Getting kicked out of one legendary band is bad, but to do it twice is another level of unfortunate.
Being a professional rock musician was something I kind of fell into. It wasn't something that I had a dream of.
By all accounts, Jason Everman was pretty difficult to work with. His antisocial behavior rubbed his bandmates in Nirvana the wrong way, leading them to fire him as soon as their tour concluded. Then, upon joining Soundgarden, the exact same thing happened.
At the end of the day, I wasn't getting along with Chris that well, the singer. And, obviously, who's going to go?
Right.
Yeah, it was me.
Kurt Cobain famously described him as a moody metalhead, which is probably an accurate description. After getting dismissed from these two bands, he decided to join the U.S. Army, going from the edgiest of anti-establishment bands to finding himself on the opposite end of the spectrum.
So the military seemed like more and more like a viable option.
Number 5, Crystal Jones, TLC. In many ways, Crystal Jones was absolutely crucial in the creation of 90s R&B legends TLC.
We auditioned for her. She felt a liking to us and just wanted to continue meeting up with us.
She was the one who came up with the entire concept for the group and discovered her bandmates, Lisa Left Eye Lopez and Tian Watkins. But just as the group were poised for success, she was kicked out. Depending on whom you believe, it was due to her subpar vocal ability.
And I looked at Pebbles and I said, can I take it home? Let my mom take a look at it because I really don't understand what I'm reading. And she said, no, absolutely not. So I didn't sign it.
Or more likely due to her refusing to get rushed into signing a contract by Perry Pebbles Reed. Either way, Jones had to watch from the sidelines as TLC catapulted to global fame, making millions on the back of a concept that she created. Number 4, Doug Hopkins, Gin Blossoms. The Doug Hopkins story is undeniably one of the greatest musical tragedies of the 1990s.
In 1987, Arizona songwriter Doug Hopkins formed the Gin Blossoms, a group that quickly developed a reputation for big pop hooks and copious cocktails.
After founding the band Gin Blossoms, Hopkins spearheaded their songwriting on their debut and its follow-up New Miserable Experience. The problem? Well, prior to their second album's release, Hopkins' drinking had become a major issue.
It's really hard to watch someone you care about so much going so fast downhill, especially when he's your creative leader.
And so the band were left with no choice but to fire him around the time of its release. The album went on to become a huge commercial success, leaving Hopkins miserable as he watched his bandmates enjoy the fruits of his labor. Unfortunately, it all became too much for him to take, and just 1 year later, he took his own life at the age of 32.
I think he felt he had no way out.
It was, the most difficult and saddest and most shocking thing I've ever had to go through.
Number 3, Brian Jones, The Rolling Stones. The version of the Rolling Stones with Brian Jones had a different flavor from the one that followed it. Jones's experimental nature and prowess on multiple instruments helped the band stand out from its contemporaries. But like with so many rock stars of that time, substance use disorder was a serious problem for Jones.
Fame doesn't sit very comfortably on anyone's shoulders. But some people's shoulders it doesn't seem to sit on at all. And he was one of them, and I don't think it suited him.
Unfortunately, in 1969, a myriad of personal and legal issues led to him leaving the band. Although he cited musical differences, the true root cause was likely far more complex. Jones would die just 1 month after his exit from the group, joining the infamous 27 Club.
Brian went for it all the way, and once he was down that path, man, there's no stopping him.
Number 2, Dave Mustaine, Metallica. Dave Mustaine's exit from Metallica is one of the most famous rock and roll firings of all time.
I watched people around the world say what a great guitar player Kirk is and what a piece of shit I am, and that I got kicked out of Metallica.
Even in their earliest days, Mustaine was already living the rock star life a little too heavily. As the band were trying to figure out their sound and direction, Mustaine's explosive behavior and substance use disorder were a problem. Despite his clear talent, the band were already past their breaking point.
I see the four of them, they said, "You're out of the band." And I said, "What, no warning? No second chance?"
And so, one day, they woke up a hungover Mustaine and fired him. To add insult to injury, they then refused to book him a plane and instead sent him on a 4-day-long bus ride to get home. Sure, he eventually went on to form Megadeth, but this metal legend never seemed to get over this abrupt dismissal.
And am I happy being number 2? No.
Before we unveil our top pick, here are a few honorable mentions. Al Bryant, The Temptations, forced out of The Temptations due to alcohol and erratic behavior. Paul Di'Anno, Iron Maiden, fired from Iron Maiden and replaced with Bruce Dickinson. Tracy Guns, Guns N' Roses. The Guns in Guns N' Roses, who lasted only 8 months in the band.
It's great, ever since the Salad of Jane video came out, things have been pretty rough.
Hearing that Chad Channing, Nirvana. Creative differences led Nirvana to replace Chad Channing with Dave Grohl.
I look back on it now and I think, wow, how did we ever do that?
Henry Padovani, The Police. The Police guitarist who was booted after Andy Summers joined.
Henry Padovani, the original guitarist in The Police.
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications. Number 1. Pete Best, The Beatles. No musician in music history gets talked about in terms of missing the boat quite like Pete Best.
When the incident happened, it just happened completely out the blue. Yeah. There was no, forewarning, it's all about it.
As the drummer of the Beatles, he was adored by the band's loyal fans. But there was one major issue. His drumming was not quite up to scratch, and so the band made manager Brian Epstein fire him, which John Lennon later admitted was a cowardly move. Once the deed was done, they hired Ringo Starr.
Help me get my feet back on the ground.
Thankfully, Best went on to earn a massive payout in royalties thanks to the inclusion of some of his drumming on a later compilation release. Seems like fair compensation for him being branded as the guy who almost made it big with the Beatles, right?
The fact that I wasn't part of them to become the icons, but the contribution and what we achieved in the 2 years I was with them was something I can look back with fond memories.
Did we miss out on any poorly timed exits from famous bands? Let us know in the comments below.
I was just sort of grateful for all of these incredible experiences I've had with them for the last 10 years.